Hello. This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and we are continuing on with our ladies steampunk hat project. So far, we've done a little patch over here with some gears, we've done a hat band, we've done a chain feature, we have a nice corseted back on it. We're going to be moving forward today. I'm thinking we still have a couple of elements I would like to use. We have a veil that I'd like to add. We have a hat pin that I'd like to create. And we still have to put like some lenses on it, things like that. So I am going to put this aside, get some materials out, and we're going to get started on the next portion of this. I'll be right back.
Hi, this is Michael Cotton.
Okay, so we need to create the veil. We're going to do a little history with a little, fantasy here. So, historically, women would wear veils on their hats, not just because they were pretty, but because it kept things out of their faces. They didn't have enclosed vehicles like we have today, so they had to find some way to keep stuff out of their eyes. Veils worked. So I have some pretty coarse tool here that we're going to be using to make a veil. And the way that these were typically attached was they were put here at the back of the hat. That's where hat pins come from. It's one of the uses of a hat pin. So we want to make sure that this is going to cover the face in the front. Most of it anyway. And then you're going to have a little bit of a tail in the back. So I've already cut this piece to the right size, and then I've folded it into fourths, and I have rounded the ends on both sides, okay? So now the next part of this is determining where my midpoint is. So I'm going to bring my hat in, place my hat, and then I'm going to place my veil. And I want my veil to be about chin length when I bring it over. So this is the back of my hat. That's going to be kind of my point. So when I bring my fabric together, this here give me enough to cover the face in the front. And that's about it. So it should be a little bit longer in the back than it is the front. I'm going to show you that. See, this is my front, that's my back. Back is a little bit longer than the front. Okay? So I now have to gather this. Gathering is easy. Needle and thread. And all I'm going to do is just go through a single layer of tulle all the way across. And it does not have to be perfectly straight, but close is good. That's not bad. Flip it over. continue. Not doing too bad here. If this was a denser tool, you know, it was a smaller net, I would do it on the machine definitely, but it's not. So I have to do this by hand, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But we'll get it done. All right. So once I have it sewn across, just going to drop my string and tie it in a knot. Yep. Draw it up, tie it in a knot. Just a square knot will do. Now, if I have screwed this up, and it's possible, it's pretty easy to just take the stitching out. Okay? So I'm just going to put a couple of square knots in here. Hold right over left, left over right thing. Alright. We have knots. We're going to cut off the thread and we can move on. So now we have a veil. Okay? And you can see it naturally wants to go back like this. That's cool. But we want it to go forward. And at this point, we're going to finish the edge. And the way that we're going to do that is with some trim. I'm going to find the center piece of my trim. Now you could use hem tape or whatever you want on this. I'm going to place it here in the middle and I'm going to stitch this around the edge till it runs out back here. And then I'm going to stitch this one till it runs out back here, which should be pretty close to that point. Okay? So to stitch this on, let me show you this real quick because we are not going to sit here and watch me do this. I'm just going to tie a simple knot at the end of the thread. I'm going to start at the middle point. And I'm going to come up through the tool. And then I'm just going to go around this piece of the lace. So it's going to come up, but I'm not going to go all the way through, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to come up. See, I'm leaving that big old long piece of thread. Gotta leave that. Now I'm going to go back down through one of these holes in the lace. And then, to secure this, I'm going to stitch through the two threads. So I'm going to take this piece that's got the knot, separate the two threads, and I'm going to go through that loop. That is going to lock that thread on. Okay? Now, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to keep going around and around. So about every quarter of an inch or so, I'm going to come up through the tool and go down through a hole in the lace. And I'm going to keep this pretty close to the edge of the tool here. So I'm going to come up through the tool and go back down through the hole in the lace. And I'm going to do this all the way around. Okay, now if you're good with a sewing machine, you know how to do this. You can get this on there. If you're not good with a sewing machine, then you'll be doing this by hand. It'll take about 30 minutes to do. So I'm going to sew from the center to the edge and then come back and go from the center to the edge. And I'm going to do that off camera. Actually, in all honesty, to be completely transparent, I'm going to do this on my sewing machine. I'm just going to load my machine up real quick. Zip, zip, I'll be done in 2 minutes. Okay? I will be back to show you the next step. So, we are done with the veil. And let me bring the hat over so we can take a look. So here's the hat. And this is the veil part, which is going to be connected back here. And we'll sit over the hat like that. And then it's got some fullness on the top, which we want. And we have to connect this back here. And then once we connect it, then we'll be able to pull it back and not have it over the hat. So I was going to use like these bar tacks, but I didn't think that they would have enough of a pin to really, you know, get into the hat. So we're going to use the tie tack again. So we're going to take this away. Take this away. And so I have a tie tack here. There's the back to it. And I have this little flower. And I have this little gem. So I'm just going to make a simple tie tack for this. And I have some E6000 on here already for permanent bond. But for immediate bond, we're going to go with some hot glue. Right. And then again, there's a little bit of E6000 in here, kind of around the edges. So in the middle, I'm going to be using the hot glue just to get this attached. Hold the two pieces. Press this on. All right. So now we can use this to attach the veil. Okay. So I'm going to take this piece. I'm going to use it to attach the veil here at the back. So I'm going to put my hand inside to make sure that I have some support in the back. Lock that on. It gives us that cute little definition, cute little detail in the back. And we can now pull the veil back if we want to. All right, so now that we have the veil, hat pin, need a hat pin, got to have a hat pin. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the hat pin. I'll be right back and we will get a hat pin made just for this hat. All right, so we are done with the veil on this. And I am going to be doing a hat pin on this and a couple of other little things, but I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. So that's where we are so far. We have a veil that's been connected. We have a nice hat band. We have some bling on the side here. And I'm going to give you guys a really good look at all of this once I'm completely done. We do have a gear piece going over here. So I'm going to put this up for now and I'm going to come back to it later. So if you're new here, do me a favor and hit the red button and subscribe, like me, ring my bell, and share me with all your friends. Then your friends can be my friends and my friends can be your friends and our friends can get to be friends. And before you know it, we have a whole crafty community, guys. Until the next time, stay safe. Bye-bye.